and good evening. Good evening, everybody, to our Spiral of Wisdom, which has been going on for many years now, our Thursday Satsangs. Before we start, I would request Swati to say the school prayer.
Good evening, everyone. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. So today we have another edition of one of our beloved speakers, Dr. Kumarji. He's a resident doctor at the School of Ancient Wisdom, which many of us would already know. And they are actually at the School of Ancient Wisdom, true to Mahamaniji's words, they are looking at constantly refining and bettering these systems. And they are researching on evolving them also. They have some new developments at the school as well. Today, our satsang is about the Trigunas, Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. And rather than me introduce Dr. Kumar, it may be a good idea for me to request Dr. Kumarji to do the introduction himself, because there might be some new interesting things that he would like to share before he starts the satsang today. So over to you, Kumarji.
Thank you, Ramesh ji, and good evening, one and all. I'm Dr. Kumar, Medical Director at the School of Ancient Wisdom. This is my second presentation or discussion in Thursday Satsang. I'm happy to share some of the concepts of Ayurveda, one by one. Basically, I'm a human Ayurveda doctor, master's in Ayurveda, and I have 2 postgraduate diplomas. One is on One Health and another is on clinical research. I was working for industries as well for drug development and the process. And the last 15 years, I was in transdisciplinary university, extrapolating the human Ayurveda for animals, and we have strongly established the concepts globally and locally as well. And 2 days back, I have been invited from Auroville, Aurobindo Ashram. You might be knowing the Pondicherry, the global ashram, and the people are really, have spent a lot of time over there to understand the principles and practices of Aurobindo Guruji. And they have been invited for me to give a lecture on Pashu Ayurveda and the concepts of ethno-veterinary practices, how it can benefit the poor farmers at the community level. That was a thing. 3 days I was there to understand more on the concepts of their vision, and then to introduce the ideologies of the traditional practices to them. So this was my last 15 years domain, along with my human practice as a consulting Ayurveda registrar at the Ayurveda Hospital, IAM. That was my passion to say. Keeping eye on that Ayurveda and the principle, I'm here to explain you all what is Triguna. Actually, what is guna? To understand more, is it related to mind or it just related to the body? And together it may take as a character of an individual is to understand is today's topic. Just to brief you all, with my experience, of the last 18 years of practice, and it is very apt to understand guna of a patient, so that the treatment success and the failure remains along with the guna of the patient, along with the guna of physician. So I request Swati to share my presentation. Swati. Can you make it full slide? Yes. Yeah. So, guna. The virginal root meaning of guna from Sanskrit is gunyate amantrate loka iti guna. What does that mean? That which attracts the individual is the guna. Every individual will have some gunas, characters. It can be physical entity or it can be psychological entity which can attract. That is a root meaning of the guna. Why we need to understand more on that? Because many diseases are psychosomatic. It is not just somatic. Many things, many psychological expressions are influencing on the physical diseases. And what are the characters of each guna, how it can determine the individual character, and how we can take it up for understanding is all about understanding triguna. The main consideration of taking guna is to know the health, the sickness, or the interventions which can bring back the normal or harmony of an individual is important to understand the characters of each guna. So the three gunas, basically we categorically put the three gunas for every individual. One is sattva, another is the rajas, another is the tamas. Sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic also been called. Three essential energies of the mind, to say. So, if you look into your own characters, your own thinking ways, your own behavior, your own respondents, or your own correspondence can make you to understand which group or which entity you belong. So generally it is determined well the psychological, psychophysical characteristic of an individual, and which depend on the relative dominance of these three gunas. That means every the move, every talk, every explanation, every acceptance will be determined by the guna which is built upon by birth and taken care by the prakriti of the individual. It's not that something you can buy from the market and imbibe yourself. It is not so. It is since birth, it is the characters have been attributed, and it is also determined during the consumption of sperm and ovum explained in the literatures of Ayurveda. The time, the quality, the kshetra, that geographical area, and the food factors responsible for determining the quality or the character of the guna. So overall, to understand the triguna system, it's a system to say. It's not that individual. Every individual have all the gunas which have the dominance will decide the guna of the person. That means when we look for an individual, he will also have sattvic guna, he will also have rajasic guna, he will also have tamasic guna. But whichever the character is, taken lead is deciding the factor of guna of that person. Next slide, Swati. So Triguna system majorly, goes with individuals which have, amount or the characters which overlap or which lead. So predominance will decides, and also which been called as manasik or manasa prakriti. Daika prakriti we call it as vata, pitta, and kapha. Manasa prakriti we call it as sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. In equilibrium, the three gunas maintain a healthy mind. When all the three, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, have maintained well in the harmony, then we call it as healthy mind. Any disturbance in this equilibrium, it can be a temporary or it can be a permanent. If it is a temporary, we can easily reverse it through our approaches, or time can heal by itself, it can reverse by itself too. So if it is not a temporary, that means the perturbance is not temporary, it is totally disturbed from the root of the guna, then it leads to various mental disorders, which can be visible sometimes, which cannot be visible, or which cannot be understood sometimes. So the whole system, the balance, the equilibrium leading to the hormonal or the harmony of the individual, which call it as healthy. When it is disturbed, which is unhealthy, which can also be called as mental disorders. Next slide. So when you look into Bhagavad Gita, many of us here are very familiar with the Bhagavad Gita and the readings and learning from it. The 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita talks more on guna of an individual, that is particularly manasika guna, that is trigunas. The Lord Krishna reveals these three qualities compose the prakriti of an individual. When we born, by the time itself it will start evolving, and also the external environment also supports for the same. If it is not, then we can slowly see the changes within the individual where the gunas have been changed over the period of time. So this Prakriti is the primary source and origin of the entire creation and all things in it. So when we born, or when we take, and when an individual has been given birth, then it will be the Prakriti, the source, which attributes to the gunas. So all the things created are subjected to their influence and irresistible power. So whatever the power can irresist, accordingly the Prakriti decides the guna of the individual. The soul is also bound to it, which can represent the three qualities in cosmic nature to see. The soul of an individual also come to play a role here with the cosmic nature, and supreme being brings about the creation through the help of his Prakriti endowed with these three gunas. This is what Lord Krishna talks about Triguna and its importance in understanding individual character in 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Next slide. So we have ordering of the gunas to say. The highest qualities among the guna is sattvic in nature, sattva guna. Sattva guna is the highest in nature. It is pure. We call it a sattvic. When you move through our lives, when we move through our lives, we will try to understand the importance of each guna. Then accordingly, the doshic principles of the physical characters influence on it, then we change upon slowly, but it is not the complete change, it is incomplete change it's going to happen. So to say highest quality attributed is to sattvic guna, and it is pure. It brings about the happiness, wisdom and illumination of an individual. Through the illumination, they also give lot of inspiration in and around who is having sattvic guna. The second quality is of rajas. Rajasika guna gives rise to the passion manifested by intense attachment and greed. So that means when we are free from the attachment and the greed, we fall under sattvic guna. When we have been attached with the greed and intense, passion, that is being attributed to rajasic guna. And when those things have not been addressed properly, then we are been suffering with sorrow and lot of grief within ourselves. So the third is considered as tamasic, the worst of all, in the order to say. First is the sattvic, second is the rajasic, and the third is the tamasic, which is worst among all. It arises due to ignorance. Many times it is ignoring, and result we fall in darkness. Also, it leads to lethargy and illusion way of understanding the life and its importance. To say sattvic stands the first, below that rajasic comes, and the below rajasic the tamasic comes. Ramesh ji?
Yes, yeah, I wanted to ask you, will you take questions at the end or will you take it during the session?
At the end, we can take it.
Okay, fine. Because I had a question on Rajas, that's why I'm...
Please ask now itself then.
Okay, see, this is exactly what I also thought, whatever you wrote over here. But one new additional thought, in addition to what you've written, is that I wanted to ask you. It says Rajas gives rise to passion manifested by intense attachment and greed. So what I'm now given to understand is Rajas is just a mode of passion, an active force or energy. If we are coming from a more sattvic perspective, then because to do anything we need Rajas, even if it is to fulfill our sattvic intentions or manifestations. So Rajas can be used by a Sataguna, or it can even be, if one is ignorant, it will become subservient to Tamaguna. So Rajas is neither good nor bad. It depends on how you use it. What are your thoughts on this?
Can you repeat? I'm not able to hear you properly.
Oh, sorry. Is it better now? Am I more audible now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. So my thought, my thought about Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic is the same as what you have written over here. But later on, I heard one guru who spoke and he said that Rajas is neither good nor bad. Rajas is just the mode of action, passion and action. And we need Rajas to get things done. So even if your intentions are coming from a sattvic nature, suppose I want to build a beautiful school, I want to do some good things, even then I need that Rajas to get the job done. But Rajas is it will cause sorrow and suffering only if it is used by if it is excess or if it is used by tamas, ignorance. Then it will result in sorrow and suffering. But if Rajas is being guided by a satoguna, then it will result in something good. And tamas
See,
also is
absolutely.
required us to rest. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
So what is
as I mentioned earlier, it will not be a single guna for an individual. If Rajas is supported by Satvik, the intentions are very clear and pure. It will not lead to sorrow and suffering. If Rajas is being preceded by Tamasic again, then there will be a suffering and sorrow. But Rajas, as it is a not neither good nor bad. Yes, that's perfect. But Rajas can lead to sorrow if it is being associated with Tamasic.
understood? So if we are not situated in Satvik, then Rajas can be easily taken over by tamasic behavior, tamasic intentions.
Absolutely. And you might be knowing many of our Rajas have used to have Rajasika Guna. That is because of their good nature and good willingness to take care of the whole kingdom. They were ruling and they are taking care of the responsibility of the whole kingdom. And they also been with the Rajasika Guna.
Right. Guided by
Yes.
Satvik. Yes.
Yeah. Shall I proceed? Yeah, Swati, next slide. Okay, we'll go one by one. Okay, Sattva, the goodness. So it's characterized by lightness, consciousness, pleasure, and clarity. And it is pure, free from disease to say, and cannot be disturbed in any way. Like, you have your clarity on the thought, clarity on the mind, and you'll have path in such a way that it cannot be disturbed, it cannot be stopped by someone. And it activates the senses and is responsible for the perception of the knowledge. Always they are the seeker of the knowledge. Once they got enough knowledge, then they're going to be the torch bearer to say. They're going to give knowledge to the society and the community. Sattva is the state of balance between the activity and the inertia of an individual. So it creates an harmony and the balance wherein which the action and the thoughts have been well balanced. Then accordingly it will be taken care. So this is what the sattva or sattvic guna is all about. And I'm just briefing. We have plenty of example and plenty of character determinants which can help to understand individually for each guna of the mind. This is just a glimpse. Just
Your camera is turned. Oh, yes.
Swati idira.
Yes, sir.
We can hear you, Kumarji. Yes.
Swati,
Yes, sir.
please
Yes,
change
sir.
the slide.
Okay.
Okay, what are the characters of happiness, spirituality, well connected, compassionate, lightness in body and mind, thoughts, self control, concentrated, gratitude, and selflessness. So it is the symbolic representation of the color, the white, pure thoughts, clarity, among the individual as well as the society. So Sattvic as the purest form and having the highest rated, guna of the individual. Next slide. So the second is, as Ramji was telling, Rajas, neither good nor bad, and is the most active of the guna and is characterized by motion and stimulation. The Rajasic guna people never sit idle. Always they are creative, they will be thinking, they want to do everything, they go here, they come here, they do, and they look for results and they try. So all desires, wishes, ambitions, and fickle mindedness are governed by Rajas. Fickle mind means need not to be fickle completely to say. When Rajasika guna people having Vata Prakriti, then more chances having fickle guna. When Rajasika guna is having Kapha Prakriti, that is well stable, not fickle. This is what the physical determinants, the physical characters combine with the manasika guna, that is mental characters, determines the individual, movements and their contributions. Then rajas guna is known for fickling and the activity state among trigunas when it is being associated with vatik. So Rajas is neither good nor bad, but Rajat are the influenced by the other guna of the Triguna, among Triguna, either Sattvic or Tamasic. If it is with the Sattvic, more towards the positive nature of the individual. If it is with the Tamasic, more with the negative, features. Next slide. What are the characteristic of Rajas guna or Rajasika guna? Desire, achiever, desire, having more on the motivation towards yourself and motivate others are rajasic in nature. And also they will have fear. Or do I fail, or do we fail, or are we going to have the success? Those things comes to mind before take any decision. Then depression and anxiety can come in between to say when they fail, again they come up immediately. They never stop. Then selfish nature will be there within the individual rajasic gun. Even the Raja who look after the kingdom also have the selfish nature. Who am I? Always he thinks. Excited every now and then for the success or the failure, everything they excite. Then they work hard, workaholic in nature. They work too much. They never, give up. They work and work ambitious to achieve something, to attract something, acquire something always. Then there are no joy and they relief as well to say that restlessness and as and how to say. So Rajas are like the red color. These are the typical characteristics of an individual. Rajaguna comes with the Rajasic guna combined Kapha Prakriti agrees be less. When Rajasic guna is combining with Vatik, then tickling will be more. So to say the Manasika guna and Daihika guna combined together in which combined combination happening determines the individual characters. Next. So tamas or tamasic, the ignorance. So is characterized by heaviness and resistance. Always they resist for everything. They will have heaviness in their thoughts and mind and causes disturbances in perception of the idea itself and their activities of the mind. Always they disturb. Then delusions, false knowledge sometimes, and laziness is the culprit for tamasic gun. Apathy, sleep, and drowsiness are some of the results of tamasic or tamas. It has the nature of being, underactive, that is not being utilized properly, the strength of an individual, while Rajasic guna is overactive and Sattva has the balance to say when we compare with the active nature of the individual. So it symbolizes with the dark colors, the tamasic, and it signifies illusion, ignorance, mental dullness, laziness, greed, sometimes to say confusion, attachment, and heaviness with the either it can be heaviness with the mind or heaviness with the physical entity. Tamas or tamaguna is the lowest among three gunas. To say avara, madhyama, pravara, madhyama, and avara, sattvic will be the pravara, rajasic will be the madhyama, and tamasic will be the avara. The order of rating or order of, what I can say, supporting. So tamasic is the lowest one, and also it talks on that someone who doesn't follow Sadritta, someone who doesn't follow ahar, vihar, and vichar or fall under tamasic guna. Next slide. So this picture talks more on that. You can see, and sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Nothing is good, nothing is bad here. So which leads have more attributions. That's all I can say. Some people are sattvic in nature by birth itself. They are very compassionate, and they are very gratitude, they are very concentrated, self controlled. Some are very energetic, exciting, workaholics, ambitious, fear, egotism, everything will be there in an individual. And then tamasic, like illusion, ignorance, greed, confusions, many times, like this. So to say, yes, if you are a sattvic in nature, you are good enough. You can have a longevity and have a good life to lead. Whereas rajasic, okay, moderate, you may fall sick oftenly. Tamasic, you're going to be struggling, and you'll end up with to say either with the physical entities or with the mental entities. Next slide. So what are the swarupa of Triguna? So when you talk about the individuals and their characteristics and the attributes, always we think about what is their achievement, where they're going to fall, what they're going to get, after all what they're going to earn, like that. So when you look into that, we call it as a swarupa of the trigunas. So the guna and its swabhava and its karya, what is the phala of the karya, the fruit, and then what are the lakshana of it, and what is the parinama, the consequences. When we understand in the order, then we can see each one by one: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic is swabhava is nirmala, pure, clear, transparent. Then Karya is the Prakasha. They are the illuminators. They give light to the society and by themselves. And the Phala is they get enough knowledge. Gnana is enormous. Then Lakshana is they feel containment. Like, they feel Sukha. They enjoy. Then Parinama is the Shanti, the peace. They are always in the peace of mind. They never disturb their mind for any reason. So this is what the Satvika people or Satvika nature get benefit. Coming to the Rajasic, Swabhava of Rajasic is Kama Krodha. They are always excited, they want to achieve, and also their anger. Then what is the Karya of it? Atireka Avesha. Immediately they react, immediately they come to a decision, they behave. That is, then what is the Phala of it? What is the fruit of it? Karma pravritti. They're going to struggle, they're going to suffer. That is the karma pravritti they're going to have. Then the lakshana is trishi udvega or trishne udvega. That means they're not satisfied. Again, they feel okay, something is not enough. I want to do more. Like that, they'll start behaving. Then parinama. What is the consequence of it? Paribramane. They're not peace in their name. They're not having peace in their mind and their life. Paribramane. Always they'll be in searching for something. They'll be searching now and then. Then tamasika guna. What is the swabhava of tamasika guna? Moha. There will be in delusion. Then the karya, the action is apravrutti. They are not able to achieve. They are not able to utilize their energy. They are not able to properly plan their activity. Apravrutti. Then the phala, the fruit of it is ajnana. They are away from the knowledge. They don't get enough knowledge. They cannot give the knowledge to the society. Then lakshana, pramada, mistakes can happen knowingly or unknowingly. Then alasya, ignorance. Then nidra, always in the mode of sleepiness. They never come out of it. Then parinama, the consequences of the swarupa of tamasika guna is dukkha. They end up with grief. Okay, so this clearly helps us to understand why we need to have a better guna, so that what we are going to get out of it: swarupa, karya, phala, lakshana, and the parinam. So for each and every entity it is explained in detail. Next slide. So overall, to say, rajasic and tamasic, the gunas that can be disturbed, can be unbalanced by stress, as lust, malice, delusion, greed, anxiety, fear, and krodha, anger. So this can disturb Rajasic and Tamasic, whereas these cannot be disturbed for Sattvic. Next slide. So what are the foods which improve Sattvika Guna? Though you are not a Sattvic, how you can become a Sattvic is through this nutritious, whole and fresh fruits like fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes can help you to have Sattvic or improve your Sattvika nature by yourself, or doing dhyana, doing yoga practices, spend time with nature can also help in improving the Sattvika guna of an individual. But ahara is very important. Ahara, vihara help you to have better vichara. Through ahara, vihara and vichara, vyavahara will come into play a role. So one is depending on the other. First is the ahara. Vihara depends on ahara. Then vichara depends on vihara and ahara. Then vyavahara depends on vichara, vihara and ahara. So sattvic foods, though we are not sattvic, but taking sattvic ahara can bring some changes among the traits of an individual. Next slide. Rajasic foods, foods that are naturally stimulating, which stimulates your body and mind, such as pulses, dal, caffeine, onions, garlic, chilies, peppers, spices, fried items, processed items, all lead to Rajasic. So such the food which is adding more, external while preparing comes under Rajasic foods. If you are a Rajasic Prakriti taking Rajasic food, then it worsen your condition. Then you may convert into even to Tamasic over the days. To say, if you are Rajasic already, take Sattvic food so that you can see the changes within yourself and also you can see the changes within the network. Next slide. Tamasic food that includes, reflect the lethargy. For example, something which is preserved, something which is processed, and like moldy cheeses, red meats, beef, or any other non-veg which has been processed for long days. Then leftover and frozen foods, breads, and fast foods. They're all tamasic in nature. So ahara is very important to have a better trait of our characters in terms of mind, in terms of physical entity too. Next slide. So the last slide, I think this is the one. So also, we as Hindu, we do a lot of yagnas, the worships, which also determines the character of an individual when they do yagna. If you do yagna, the worship which is performed as mentioned in Shastra without any desire of reward from it, and by considering only as the responsibility, that is my responsibility to the yagna without looking for any reward from that, considered as sattvic yagna. So you are sattvic in nature, so you are conducting as a responsibility. If you are conducting the yagna seeking reward or a fruit from it, you know, uh, excessively feeling proud of one's own appearance, qualities, achievement is considered as rajasic yagna. That means your traits are rajasic in nature, so you're expecting something from the yagna also to get as a reward. The yagna done without following the shastra niyama, which is without any distribution of food after yagna, which is devoid of mantra. Such, if they're not following what to be carried out, how to be carried out, and without sincere faith is considered as tamasic in nature. To say, yes, when we do actions, when we do activity, that also determine the characters of the mind through these understandings, so that sattvic, rajasic and tamasic will be well established by within the individual. Next slide. Yeah. So trigunas are very important trait of an individual which determines the characters, which help us to understand. But beyond that, none of us are single or single guna. We are all been with dominance of two gunas, sometimes three gunas, and sometimes one with supporting with the other gunas. So Triguna is not just psychological entity, which also help us to understand to have the success of the treatment. For example, if the patient is sattvic in nature, he never disturb for any disease. He will be a good patient for us to treat in a better way, and the success of the treatment we can see easily. If he is a rajasic guna, he will disturb more, and also he will not have a faith on his own treatments, and he may not have the success. Tamasic, it is very difficult to address. We may miserably fail in treatments too. So it's not just individual, it is also a part of understanding from each and every patient to have better treatment outcomes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kumarji. That was very interesting. As usual, even the last time when you spoke about all these things, it was very useful to know. There is a validation of decades of research behind what you said and your personal experience. If anybody has any questions, please do ask now.
Yeah, one point, Dr. Kumar. I'm Janakiram.
Ha, sir.
It was very, very illuminating and useful presentation. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I'm able to hear you.
See, genetically determined and karmically determined, are they one and the same?
Yeah, genetically determines the guna of the individual, but the environment will grow, the nature will grow, and the individual whom we spend also have some influence on the guna, sir.
No, that is clear. What I'm telling is the birth taking place, genetic and karmic is one and the same, I'm asking. At the time of birth, because whatever now, for example, if you are more sattvic and develop more sattvic nature, next birth also due to that karma will be sattvic. So perhaps genetic and karmic link is not yet established, perhaps.
It's very hard to say that whether it is happen or not, but genetically influenced. But other thing, cosmic, it's very difficult to say.
Okay, thank you. And but patient treatment gave a very good picture. But I hope all doctors are sattvic. Or doctors also can vary.
Of course, I've seen other doctors too who are not sattvic. I think the question, Dr. Kumar, the question was, is genetic and karmic, is it linked?
Okay. Karmic is in Purva Janma ka. Okay.
Yeah. At the time of birth, your genetic
that will be there always. That will be there. Yeah, karma there.
Yes, I was familiar with that.
Now, my other question was all Ayurveda doctors hopefully will become more and more sattvic.
Not necessarily, sir. Not necessarily, because of the lifestyle and the food style
and genetic.
may not be necessarily.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right. And when you mentioned, there was one question that I had. I'm trying to remember that question. In Ayurveda, like for example, when you approach a patient, how accurate will the consciousness of the doctor? How accurate will the diagnosis be? It will be more accurate, of course, with the consciousness of the doctor is higher. But in Ayurvedic practices, how much of this consciousness and the subtle aspect of Ayurveda, of the doctor's personality, the nature, are covered, Dr. Kumar? Is it there right now in when one qualifies to become an Ayurvedic doctor, that these subtle or spiritual awareness aspect is also included, or is it just mentioned?
No, I could not hear you properly. Can you repeat again the voice?
Sure. Is it better now? Am I more audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, for you to become an Ayurvedic doctor, you go through a qualification process. The education system for Ayurveda, how much of it includes training the consciousness of the individual to become a better human being? Because I know that in certain Ayurvedic texts, they do mention that the doctor's nature or the state of being has to be in a certain way. But how much of that is actually taught and practiced at the moment in India?
Very challenging. We cannot because university systems are not being into it. Only in Gurukula system it might be having. Now we go with the curriculum and number of lectures, number of hours, and going with the syllabus, completing the syllabus, appearing for the exam, scoring marks. That's what decides. Not beyond anything else to say, consciousness or even understanding the guna. Nothing.
So you probably are at the forefront of this kind of exploration right now in Ayurvedic sciences.
So we have plenty of explanations and given in detail understanding of all these factors, and also it determines from which religion they are, and which clan they are, and from where they are. All those things also decides, but that those things will not be discussed during college days or even the lectures, because it really disturbs and part of the environment of the whole class. So they never talk on that. Only they talk on that, like what are the mula prakriti and what are the other influencing factors on the mula prakriti for physical as well as mental characteristic of an individual. That's it.
You know what it appears to me is this science of Ayurvedic, of being an Ayurvedic doctor, can probably be an excellent bridge or even an opening to the understanding that what we call Hinduism now is not really a religion. And if that distinction happens, then many people will discover that even if they're Christians or Muslims or Parsis or Jews, may already be Hindu by definition of the way they approach life. Right? They look at it in a dharmic perspective: cleanliness, austerity, mercy, truth, regardless of what name of God they subscribe to. This might actually open the door to a lot of interreligious harmony and a general raising of consciousness of human beings. Because when a healing system is administered in such a way that a person gets healed from what they are physically, the pain that they're physically experiencing, regardless of the religion, and doctors, regardless of their religion, practice these healing systems effectively, it could be a great way to bridge and create harmony amongst different denominations. That is what is occurring to me now as you speak.
Yeah, that's true. But as a system, it's very hard for us to say it is a Hindu practice or Hindu nature or Hinduic way of learning, because even in the same Ayurveda we discuss and we learn and Mamsa gunas, and when we take Mamsa, that is Rajasic in nature, it increase the Rajasika guna of an individual. But in the same subject of Ayurveda, we study about nearly 100 and odd animals mamsa gunas and its action on body and mind. Also, it is as we use in treatment of the diseases.
You use Mamsa in the treatment of diseases, is it?
Yeah, it is explained in the literatures of Ayurveda.
I see.
So it is very hard for us to say that okay, with this we can do this, but both are have explained in detail to say yes, if you want to have this, you go with this. If you don't want to have this, you go with this, like that. But we cannot say that it is purely on a Hindu nature or Hinduism is been Ayurveda. Many people have the myth on that, like to say Ayurveda is for Hindu. It is not so. It is beyond
It's
the
not so.
religion, beyond everything.
Exactly. That is why I feel it is an excellent way to bridge.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe you being at the forefront of this kind of knowledge spreading, where you combine sciences with these ancient texts, which are ostensibly attributed to Hinduism. Actually, we will realize Sanatana Dharma is all inclusive, and one does not need to change their way of worship or which god they is their Ishtadeva. whatever the name of God be, whatever religion, as long as they practice these philosophies of being all inclusive, of being scientific, and approaching it in that manner, it can be an excellent bridge. Perhaps you could explore that also. Am I audible? Is my connection okay? I'm not seeing any response. Swati, am I still on the? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay. I don't know if Dr. Kumar heard me or if I made sense.
I think there is some internet glitch from his side, but
I
you
see.
are very clear.
Okay. No, what I was suggesting was this could be since he's doing cutting edge research here in practices that are not normally followed in general Ayurvedic doctors, by introducing a most kind of in-depth approach to a person's guna. A person's guna is devoid of whether whatever religion they belong to. They can still be a
Okay.
Sattvic Hindu, a Sattvic Christian, and so on, Sattvic Muslim, but the Sattvic aspect will come out. So this could actually be used to even spread knowledge that can bridge people of different denominations. Is what I was suggesting and asking him, on his opinion on that.
Sure, I think he will get back to you on that, sir. Sure, we'll consider your feedback and we'll try to incorporate as well.
Because I feel the School of Ancient Wisdom, if I look at what Mamanise used to say, really did, this was one of the aspects that she spoke about.
Yes, sir.
I think I just heard Dr. Kumar briefly. Maybe he's trying to.
Yeah, I lost my connection again. I came back.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, we can
Any
see you
question?
clearly. Lights are on. Okay.
Oh, I'm in through mobile.
I see. Okay. Now your face is clear. Yes. The connection is better than before.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't repeat the statement, but if anybody else has any other question or any observation that they would like to make, please do speak up. If not, we'll come to the end of the session now. So on behalf of the School of Ancient Wisdom, we would like to thank the director of Ayurveda, is it? Dr. Kumar?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So we'd like to thank the director of Ayurveda of the School of Ancient Wisdom for gracing us with his awareness and also with his unique research on how to forward Ayurveda in conjunction with a deeper spiritual understanding. Whatever you spoke about today, Dr. Kumar, I think holds a huge potential. That's what I'm seeing in supporting people, in bridging people of various levels of consciousness, different denominations, to bridge them together in one net of humanity. Because when a person falls sick, it doesn't matter which religion you belong to, you just want to get well. And now, if you are approached with this kind of consciousness, even though it sounds like Sanskrit words and seemingly Hindu oriented healing, if it works, people will truly realize that it doesn't matter which God you ascribe to or which religion you belong to, but the human body will respond to goodness, to kindness, to healing, a genuine sankalpa. And if one is in that state of mind, it will show up in the doctor, regardless of what religion they belong to. The system will work universally. And in that process, people, the potential lies in being able to bridge the gap between different people. And that is what I'm seeing. I mean, I'm seeing that kind of potential in what you're doing, Dr. Kumar, for which I'm really grateful for the wisdom behind what you said today. So thank you for uplifting us, and all the best for your efforts. The School of Ancient
Thank you,
Wisdom,
sir.
and I
Thank
believe the
you.
School of Ancient Wisdom will come up with many unique solutions which will benefit all of us, which we're quite eager to see now. So
Thank
on
you.
that note, most welcome, Kumarji. So on that note, let us all sit straight with the back, neck, and head aligned for the Loka Samasta. At this moment, please remember your loved ones, people in your community who might require healing. Group prayers really work wonders. I've experienced them personally. Remember that person's name, what situation they're going through, whether it is time, money, love, health, and also let us send out healing vibrations to the world at large. Let people's consciousness be raised, let wars be averted, let economies grow and become a one world family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. With your head back and neck aligned, take a nice deep breath. And let go. Observe the silence within, which is the language of the soul that connects all of us. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Thank you, everybody. Until next Thursday, same time, same place. Take care and God bless.